I'm not easily shocked, but what you're about to listen to shocked me. It's a description of a bunch of girls who would keep track of the men that they'd had sex with on this big communal notice board in the middle of their house. And each boy would have a rating and some other stuff. Just listen.
No, but things even some girls do it. Like
really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
House of Girls. They had like a little tally thing, and like they had like a big notice board in their living room of like all the people that they'd all slept with and like did a rating. But like then they had a party and they didn't take it down, and like there's these poor guys just names on the fucking wall in front of everyone. Like, I was just like, that's so embarrassing.
That's crazy.
And just because they're girls, they kind of ish got away with it. Like, no one really kicked up a fuss. But if the shoe was on the other foot, everyone would be up in arms. But
thank you so much to the woman who told us this story. She was so much fun in her video. She was in that creepiness video. I'll put a link down below if you haven't seen that one yet. Now, when I was editing that footage and I heard her say that, I was stunned. I was thinking, I haven't heard this properly. So I went back and I listened to it again. What she's saying is that there was a group of girls that were so promiscuous and so proud of their sexual conquests that they kept a tally. They kept track of all of the men that they'd had sex with on a big communal notice board in the middle of the house for everybody to see. And all the guys had a rating on how good at sex they were. And even when these same guys came round for a party, they didn't take this down, so their names were just out there for everybody to see. Now, I don't want to labor this point and just get all moralistic. Suffice to say, I do not approve of this behavior. And if I had a daughter and I found out that she was engaging in this kind of activity, I would be heartbroken. But how did this happen? How did it come to be that there was this large group of women who are all engaging in this shameless behavior? To understand it, and the way that I make sense of it, is through the psychological phenomenon where everybody sinks to the lowest common denominator. This idea of the lowest common denominator was expressed so well by Jordan Peterson in this interview I saw him doing, where he was explaining the results of this sociological study. What they did was they took a bunch of well-behaving children and mixed them with some at-risk kids who were engaging in really bad behavior. And they sent them all away to a summer camp where they got lots of adult attention, lots of fun, nourishing activities. Now, what they predicted would happen was that being around the good kids, the sort of badly behaved kids, would become better. You know, the positive attributes of some of them would rub off on the others. They actually found the complete opposite was the case. What happened was that the negative attributes rubbed off on the positive kids. So even though they were in a nice environment that was constructed specifically to make them improve their behavior, they actually found that on the whole, everybody got way worse, as the whole group sunk to the level of the lowest common denominator. It ultimately didn't matter that they were out in nature, having a good time, engaging in these structured and designed activities. None of that could overcome the environmental influence of being around really bad kids who would influence the behavior of others, you know, give tips and strategies on how to do bad stuff. So I imagine in this situation, there's this nice girl and she becomes roommates with all these shameless, promiscuous women. So what's more likely? Is it that she's going to be a positive influence on them and raise the moral standards of the whole house? Not that likely. What's more likely is that they're going to be a corrupting influence on her. She's going to want to get along with her roommates. She's going to want to be non-judgmental, to be socially accepted. The easiest way for her to do that is to engage in the very same types of behavior. And so she joins in on this notice board. We understand from evolutionary psychology that women are extremely social, and whether or not people like them, whether they're part of the group, contributes massively to that sense of safety that women desire. The danger is that unless you are vigilant and actively discerning what is ethical behavior and what isn't, then you are extremely susceptible to outside influence. And outside influence is almost exclusively negative. Happy people don't tend to go around proselytizing, trying to convert other people to their way of life, but miserable people do it all the time. They actively recruit people to try and see the world the same way that they do. This is how the process of sinking to the lowest common denominator occurs. And it's the reason that I'm making this video as a cautionary tale. If you're in a relationship, you need to pay special, close attention to the kind of women that your girlfriend spends time with. If your girlfriend is friends with these kinds of women, the kinds of women who are unashamedly promiscuous and display the men that they've slept with on a communal tally board for everybody to see, then there's the danger that your girlfriend is going to join them. Now, it is possible that before they met each other as individuals, all these women were shameless and promiscuous, and they just happened to find each other. But I think that that's extremely unlikely. In their natural state, women are not naturally promiscuous. They're naturally quite reserved and cautious when it comes to sexual interactions because they have that evolutionary instinct that tells them that they need to be careful because they could potentially get pregnant. So it is natural for women to be quite cautious around sex and cautious of the other gender. It's not natural for women to be massively promiscuous. It's just not. Which means that in order for this tally board to occur, for this situation to have developed, it means that a bunch of women have to be acting against their natural instincts. And what's capable of motivating women to do this? Outside of a really strong environmental influence coming from other women. It's because of situations like this that I think that you need to be extremely concerned about the environmental influences that your girlfriend is being subjected to. Women like to fit in with other women. That's just how they're wired. And so if she's friends with a bunch of promiscuous women, you need to be extremely concerned that even if not explicitly stated, there's going to be subtle encouragement from her friends for her to act the same way. Of course, this phenomena is not exclusive to promiscuity. If you've got a woman who's having an affair, she's feeling guilt, she's feeling shame, but maybe if all of her friends around her are also having affairs, she'll feel less guilty, she'll feel less ashamed. And so, even if she doesn't state it out loud, there's always going to be that tacit encouragement for her girlfriends to cheat on their partners. And you don't want that kind of influence meddling with your relationship. The same goes for divorce. Even if the woman is not happy, like I said, misery loves company, and they might subtly try and influence their friends to get divorced as well. That way they're kind of in it together, and you don't want your partner, if you're in a happy marriage, to spend time with lots of divorced women for that reason. So if your girlfriend has friends like this, I think that you need to have a conversation with her and tell her that you're concerned about the people that she's spending time with. Now, she may protest, she may say, but these are really good friends and I'm a good influence on them. And that might be true, but more likely is that they're a bad influence on her. You wouldn't knowingly expose yourself to a disease and risk getting infected. And so why would you knowingly expose yourself to toxic people with toxic belief systems? Belief systems are contagious, and you don't want your girlfriend to catch one of these diseases. What you should be doing is, if your girlfriend has a couple of friends who you really respect, admire, you think that they are nice, ethical girls, the kind of girls who would be a good influence on your girlfriend, then talk them up, give them compliments, say how much you admire them, and encourage your girlfriend to spend more time with those higher quality women.